What's up, guys? Welcome to a new day. I'm Stephanie Ryder, and this is the 365 Shares podcast. It's Sunday, January 14th, and this is the 14th episode of the 365 Shares podcast. It's NFL playoffs, so I watched a lot of football today. The Cowboys lost to the Green Bay Packers, which was really great for me because I'm an Eagles fan and the Cowboys are one of our rivals. And the Detroit Lions won, which is really great for them because it's their first playoff win since they said 92, I believe, which is so crazy. They were like, the last time they won, text messaging didn't exist. Eminem was at the game, so just really great for Detroit. That's awesome. There are more games coming up. The Eagles play tomorrow. We're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am not confident that we're going to win because we've just had a bunch of losses in a row with just one win in the middle for Christmas, which was great. But yeah, so that was football. And I hung out with my partner today. I would say it was mostly very good, but we have a constant conflict around the type of physical, emotional intimacy that we have. I really like kissing and making out, and it's something we did a lot when we were early dating. We would like make out for 30 minutes, and it was amazing. And he just hasn't been interested in doing that for a really long time, unless we've been separated for a while, like if he's, with family or I'm with family or where I'm away for work. And unless we have taken a break and we've seen other people, which we've done a few times, and then he's like so excited to get me back and very passionate for a brief period of time. And then we just go right back to him thinking it's gross to kiss me, which I don't love. And I'm making him sound like a bad person. He's not a bad person. As I mentioned on a previous episode, he's a very loving person. He's very committed to our relationship, and I am committed to him as well. It's just something we're not on the same page about and we're having ongoing discussions about. So we just had like multiple times today where I was like, do you want to make out? And he's like, no, ew. Like, why do you even like that? He kind of just thinks like, and I was like, why do you like when I blank your blank? Use your imagination. But me kind of just saying like, I don't know, it's just a thing people like. Why are you asking me why I like it? And why do you think I shouldn't like it? So what do you want me to do? But he apologized, but, I just told him like, it hurts my feelings when you tell me you don't want to kiss me or you like make a joke about like, okay, like, here's your 2 kisses, like 1, 2, get out of here. So I don't know. I don't know where we are with that. We've worked on a lot of things in our relationship. We've fixed a lot of problems in our relationship. We are coming up on the 5-year mark, which is very exciting. And with, some breaks in between there, but like 5 years since our first date and a lot of work and love and happiness and joy and fights and all of the things that go along with a relationship in the interim. So that part of our relationship is still a work in progress. And that is a great segue into today's topic, which is unvoiced pain. And what they're really talking about in the Strengthening My Recovery book is all the things that we do to numb our pain when we grew up in situations where we couldn't express our pain in a healthy way, or if we did, it was minimized, it was ignored, we were gaslighted, we were accused of causing the pain ourselves. So, all the things that people do, like drinking, using drugs, using sex, eating, gambling, there are so many things people do to try to avoid feeling their pain. And I read a great grief book. I think it was like the handbook for grief. And they called them STERBs, short-term energy releasing behaviors or something like that. But it was basically all those things I mentioned. Anything you do that helps you avoid feeling your feelings. It's a distraction. While you're using all of those things or any of those things to numb yourself, you're not able to get to that pain and heal it. So no judgment to anyone who has any kind of addiction or acting out behavior. I have my own for sure. And my brain always goes whenever my partner like doesn't want to be affectionate with me, my brain always goes to, well, they're 50 people who would love to, and I could just go find one of them. And that is something that I have acted out on in the past, and it's something that I am not acting out on now, but the thought is still there. Or to like go outside of your relationship and get it, then you might have to make a hard choice. And I don't want to make that choice. So we're going to continue to work on things. But in the past, we have broken up because I've made a different choice, and it is what it is. We've talked about it. It's all very open, and we've had a lot of fights and a lot of difficult discussions and a lot of hurt feelings on both sides because of things that we both have done and not done. So it's a work in progress, but the book really roots this back in our childhood experience where we were screaming in pain on the inside and we weren't able to get that pain out and have anyone help us with that pain or listen to us. I'm Steph, and this is my share. The passage from the Big Red Book says, "In acting out, I was screaming when I could not voice my pain." So that's just a really powerful thought. All these acting out behaviors, and we all have our own acting out behavior, whether it's throwing a tantrum, whether it's being passive aggressive, whether it's cheating, lying, gambling, drinking, whatever it is. We all have acting out behaviors, procrastinating. Gracious and really healing, I think, to reframe our acting out behaviors that we tend to be so ashamed of, and that those are things we hate about ourselves because they cause so many problems that we then have to go clean up. It's so helpful, I think, to think of all those acting out behaviors as us screaming out in pain. And we don't know how to voice that pain. We maybe don't have anyone to express that pain to that would care or that would help or that wouldn't blame us. So if you feel like you're in a situation where you're doing all these things, you're acting out, you don't like the way that you're behaving, you don't like the problems that it's causing in your life, find a group of healthy people, find a therapist, find a 12-step program of people who can listen to you and hear your pain and not tell you that it's bad or wrong, and where you feel comfortable talking about the acting out behavior. And the first step of any kind of change is just being aware of the behavior and being mindful of it. So just start thinking about whenever you do whatever you do when you act out and you hear that voice come into your head and start to tell you that you're a piece of crap, or whatever your mean voice starts to tell you that you have no willpower, whatever it is, you're a bad person. Try to bring another voice in that says you're just in pain. And you're just trying to get someone to notice your pain to help you because you so desperately want help. It's hard to get rid of negative internal voices, but we can add positive voices to the chorus, and eventually, hopefully, the positive voices will outweigh the negative voices, and just try to tell yourself, I'm just in pain right now, and this is just what I do when I'm in pain, and it's maybe not the healthiest way to deal with my pain, so I'm going to start learning healthier ways to deal with my pain. But in the interim, this is something that gets me through a tremendous amount of internal pain, and I'm going to try not to hurt anyone. I'm going to try not to hurt myself. I'm going to try not to mess up my life, but give yourself some grace. And the affirmation is, on this day, if I feel the pull to act out, I will stay in the moment and try to find out what is triggering my reaction. I will use whatever ACA tools I need in order to help myself. And I think that's really great. In my situation today, my conflict with my partner, I know it's triggering me. It's I want affection and he refuses to give it to me. And there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, he has his own dysfunctional family background, obviously. So he has his own barriers to intimacy, and it's something we're working on. And he's had, physical issues with his mouth and mouth pain. So there's sort of like a physical and emotional component all tied up in it. And he's also working a lot, which is something I encouraged him. He was taking off work for a while to take care of his mom, who wasn't doing well, and thankfully she's doing better. And I encouraged him to go back to work, and now he's working a lot, and he just has a lot less energy. If you're familiar with spoon theory of like, we all only have so many spoons to use during the day, and like once all your spoons are in the dishwasher, you don't have anything else you can do. So he doesn't have as many spoons for me emotionally because he's doing a lot at home, at work, taking care of his dog and his mom and himself, which is important. And he is trying really hard to take good care of himself, even though he's busier. So he just doesn't have spoons for like sitting and making out and acting like we're teenagers, which is unfortunate for me because that's something I always have spoons for. But that is one of my acting out behaviors as well. So I think like it's just a place where his acting out behavior is more isolating himself and watching TV or playing games on his phone. And my acting out behavior is more like wanting to be with people. I want to talk to people. I want to make out with my partner. I want to have sex. I want to go be somewhere in a social setting, whether it's going to the movies or going out dancing. So we're just not really on the same page there in terms of introvert, extrovert, and in terms of our acting out behaviors. And it's just going to be something we have to compromise. I don't expect him to like come home every day and like pick me up and throw me on the bed. That's just not his personality. And I have dated people like that, and that aspect is great. But then, not stereotyping, but a lot of people who have, similar acting out behaviors to me, where they're like always very physical, don't want to be emotional, and they don't want to have like the deep conversations, and they don't want to have maybe the intellectual intimacy. So there's trade-offs in everything. I love my partner. I want to be with him forever. We are working through things. And, and there are a lot of other things that we both used to do to act out. Like we would be very reactive when we would like start screaming and have these sort of like screaming fights. And he would storm out and slam the door. And then I would get mad, and then he'd be very apologetic and he'd like want to come back, and then I'd still be mad. So we have ironed out a lot of our acting out behaviors. We've really consciously worked on them. We've talked about them. We've had fights. We've gone to therapy. We've gone to meetings. So I'm hopeful that this is just sort of the next thing we need to tackle, and we will get to a place where he can mentally understand, like, there's a minimum amount of this that needs to happen for her to be happy in this relationship. And maybe if it's not exactly what I want to be doing in that moment, he can figure out sort of the magic formula of like proactively doing enough things that I don't ask about it, and it just happens, and I'll get enough of it to be happy. And it's not like, I'm honestly not a nymphomaniac. I'm not like always wanting to have sex, but I want him to initiate it. Or if I'm in the mood, I want him to say yes to it. And I hate feeling like this is sort of like a stereotypical male problem. This is like what a lot of husbands complain about, but I know it's also a female problem, because as men get older, they lose their testosterone. And as couples are together more and they spend more time in their sweatpants and, they walk in on each other going to the bathroom, like you just lose some of that initial mystique. So it's just something that happens in mature relationships. It's not great. It's not a deal breaker. It just is what it is. But whatever your acting out behaviors are, I hope you can just be mindful of the fact that they are masking some kind of inner pain. So maybe do some journaling, maybe just sit and meditate and think, maybe talk to someone, and like I recommended in a previous episode, like do what I'm doing and just record yourself talking. And sometimes you can just sort of ramble and do a stream of consciousness until you wander through the woods into the idea. Sometimes your brain will just spit out what it's wrong if you just keep kind of talking and like walking around it. So maybe you'll get to, I hate being the only one who does the dishes, or I feel so disrespected when you make a joke about X, Y, or Z to me, even though, you think it's funny. It really does hurt my feelings. Or, like, why did you drink all the milk and leave one sip of milk? Like, there's not still technically milk there, or orange juice or ice cream or whatever it is. If there's not enough for a full serving, because a lot of people do that trick. They'll be like, well, I didn't finish it, so I didn't have to replace it because there's still a little bit in there. But like, if it's not enough for a bowl of cereal, if it's not enough for a milkshake, if it's not enough like for breakfast in the morning, then you used it all. So it could be anything that you're in pain. It could be very deep emotional pain. It could be, deep childhood scars, anything. Just give yourself grace. Remember that you're not a bad person because you're acting out. You are a good person who's in pain, who is also acting out, and you are going to start trying to learn some healthier ways to clear that pain so that you don't have that urge to do this energy releasing behavior. And it does take time, but it can happen. So just think about the possibility of it happening and you being happier with yourself and happier in your life, because I think that you can do it.